All right. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on the time you're watching this. But in this live session or YouTube session, um, depending on what time you'll be watching this video, we would be looking at freelancing and basically earning in USD and how Nigerian freelancers actually can dominate the foreign markets space. Today, we have a special guest, a very good friend of mine who has been killing it, especially on platforms like LinkedIn. So this morning, she'll be here to share a success story, share some of the strategies she has used to land quality clients on LinkedIn. Now, apart from that, there is a twist to her side. She's going to do much of that explanation later. But she has a very interesting background, a very, very interesting background. And I want every one of us here to listen to this, watch this, share this, recommend this to anybody, and, share the link and watch this video. So without much ado, or without further ado, let's make welcome our guest for today, Grace in America. Did I get the surname correct?
Naimika.
Yeah, all right. It's great to have you, Grace. And let's start obviously with the introduction. Can you please tell us a bit about yourself? Let us get to know you, what you do, just something about yourself, background, and everything.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much, Gideon, for having me here. Appreciate you greatly. Okay, about my background, where should I start from? Okay, so I'll start from 2019. I graduated from the university. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so I graduated like every Nigerian adult, right? 2019, and then 2020, COVID hit. Sitting down waiting for NYC, and COVID hit, so I couldn't go for NYC 2020. Prior before that time, because of the kind of family I come from, I already knew that I'm on my own, right, at the time. So I just was looking for something doing. But anyways, that 2021, I went for youth service. And by 2022, middle of 2022, I think April, May, that was when I came out from NYC, finished serving. Nigerians can relate. So when I came out from service, prior before that time, before I came out from the university, my dad already told me that his brother, who is very, very wealthy and highly connected, would, normal, fix me somewhere and all of that. So when other people were talking about jobs and all of that, I was just like, I'm not with you guys. My case is set to Jesus has done it already, right? So unfortunately for me, before I came out, something happened between my dad and his brother, and he relocated. He left him because he was working under him. So he left him and he relocated. My mother was still in Lagos at the time. So to cut the long story short, we went to the office many times, and I was just viewing the office and looking at white people, but we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And at the time, I already knew that this is not going to work. So I was already telling my mom that I should just go and look for work. It was 2019 at the time, because I came out from school, I even had debt to pay, right? Because my final year school fees, my dad couldn't pay because of the issues he had with his brother. So at the time, he was not doing anything reasonable. Not that he was not doing anything reasonable as he was doing before. So I already had bills to pay, right? I was owing some money from school, a friend of mine that paid my bills at the time. So I came out telling my mom that I had bills to pay. All this thing we are doing, let me go and look for. She said, no, don't worry. I said, okay. It was the last time when we went, and it was obvious that this was not going to work because he just kept on talking about my dad and all of that. So when we came back, mom would just say, you know what, just go and look for work. So the first job I got at the time was that 2019 was a 17,000 naira teaching job. That was what I could find at the time. So that was what I was doing before I went for NYC. No, before COVID struck, and I stopped that. By the time I already gathered the money and paid off my debt from that money, that little salary I was earning at the time. So 2021, I started hearing about okay, that was just my background. Then what else? I went for service and I came back 2022. I think I just stop here so I don't go. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for that. Now, interestingly, you shared a story on Facebook yesterday, and you talked about
Mhm.
some of the challenges you had, right? Some of the challenges that actually limited your movement, limited you getting some jobs. I read at a point in the story, I think you said you got fired from your job twice. Can you probably share us a bit about those challenges and how you were able to, you know, move around them?
Okay, so it was 2022. I got a job because I'm someone that have a health challenge. I'm a sickle cell patient. So that's when I got the job. During my interview, I already, in short, any place I've ever worked for or anybody I've ever worked with, I always tell them that, oh, because it's not something that you want to hide. It's crisis is not something that
Yeah,
we pray that you shouldn't come, but then just like you go out and you said, oh, this day should remain sunny, so I will go back and come back, and it's raining season, right? So that's how it was. But during my interview, I
right.
told them that this is my health challenge and all of that and all of that. But I can do this job and all of that, all of that. Anyway, so I told them they said it's fine. It's we know people that have the kind of health challenge you have, and they are still here with us, which was true because when I entered, I realized that there was also someone there that was a sickle cell patient. So I started the job, and it was after 1 year, because after 1 year, our salary was supposed to be reviewed. We were paid 50,000 naira for
Yeah,
basic salary. So after 1 year, you become a main staff and your salary increased. So I was just
yeah,
sitting, waiting for that 1 year. I say, this 1 year, oh, let's 1 year. So after the 1 year, I was told that the head of school at the time was calling. I was like, Jesus has done it. I just walked boldly to the head of school office. And then after pleasantry, just like I said on my Facebook story, she was like, I'm sorry, we can't manage you anymore. Would have to let you go and all of that. I was devastated. But she kept looking at me, and I don't know how I didn't cry that day. But I was just like, God, just help me. I don't want to cry here because the embarrassment to be double, right? So I just held myself together. But
yeah,
I was not even saying when I got to the gate of the school, like I went to pick up my stuff now. I started going back home. When I got to the gate of the school, and tears just started. Even inside the bus, tears just started. I cried. When I went back home, I cried, 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 cried. During church service, Holy Spirit is not moving. I would just start crying. People will think that, oh, it's the Holy Ghost and all of that stuff. I was just crying. That's why when you see people in the church, don't think that everybody's crying based on the worship, right?
right,
So I was just
right,
crying.
right.
But then my friends comforted me, and during November, because I didn't want to take another job, right? I already got into freelancing.
Right.
I was already having a little side gig. So I was like, this is not for me. I should just, move on with my life and focus on this freelancing. But a mentor of mine at the time was like, I should this personal branding, freelancing thing is not a stable job. It's not even a real job. That you need to get structure. You're just coming out of school. You need to, all those kind. I was like, okay, let me get another job. So November, I got another job. I remember going for the interview, and I got a job through a mentor. All the jobs I've got, I got it through people share. So
Right.
I went for the interview. Not really an interview. I know somebody I didn't know you were coming, all those kind of stuff. So I just went there, and they're like, when are you going to start? I was like, because I was already doing side gigs. So it was not like I really wanted to work or I was looking for,
Yeah.
I was desperate for a job and all of that. I was like, okay, maybe 2 weeks time or something. No. We don't have like someone that is writing for us. Our social media manager just left. We needed to start immediately and all of that. So that's how I went back home and started creating content for the week at the time and all of that. So that's how I got into that particular job. And then that one was even worse because I knew how I got to the job. Like I was not looking for job at the time, right? I was already earning and I was already say, okay, let me focus on my freelance and all of that. But then that was the reason why I was angry when I was fired. And secondly, during that February, I felt sick. It was a hybrid though. It was a hybrid job, so 2 times in a week. Very good, right? I felt sick at the time, January, February, but because it was hybrid, so I can still work from home and do what I have to do. But February, I think I was coming back from the hospital and I just, she just said, no, she didn't. I think what I woke up, I was still working. I don't know how people fire people, but I was still working. I even sent the content for the week already. You know, that kind of thing. You are still working and all that. All of a sudden, I just saw on WhatsApp that, have you checked your mail? I was like, mail? No, 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 I've not checked my mail. She said, check it. Then I said, I didn't see any email. She said, check it. I said, I didn't see any email. Is there something that you want me to do? You can just tell me so I can do it. She was like, no, go and check your spam folder. Then I checked my spam folder. I saw the email there. The English said, I was not understand. I was like, it was like, I was like, I don't understand. I'm saying so and so thing. She said, yes, so that the email is actually correct and all of that. I was so angry. I was so angry. I didn't know what to do. But then I just, I got into depression at the time, but then I came out and that's that.
Yeah, yeah, that's really touching. But you mentioned something at the latter end. You said you
Okay.
became angry. Angry. The first instance when you were sacked from your job, you let out all your emotions. So
Mm.
the second time you became furious rather than sad. Like, what was going through your mind? I was expecting that, okay, fine, you let out those emotions, you're crying the boss again, you go to church and other stuff. But what really changed for you at that point in time?
Okay, it was because when I got that job, I also told her that this is my challenge. This is not the job I want to do. Then before you change my job description and I should start going somewhere else. I can't do physical job. I can only do something that has to do with a mental kind of job, brain work, and all of that stuff. I don't have to be jumping up and down because if I do a lot of stress, I'm going to fall sick. I should like, oh, it's fine. Your job doesn't require you to even go around. There are people for that. We have this, we have that. I said, okay, fine. So in the email, exactly what I said I don't want to do was exactly the reason why I was fired, was that you are not, I don't know the English. I even looked for the email. I can't find the email again. They said you are not like physically strong and something like that that was placed in. It was just an excuse, right? Because my job description is different from what how Nigerian job, what the letter wanted me to do and all of that. And I was like, I can't do that because I already told you that this and this and this. So because of that particular reason why, the reason why I told her, I told her plainly that this is exactly what I can do. Because of my health, I can't do so and so. She was like, oh, it's fine. And that same thing I said was exactly what was written in the email, which was the cause of them firing me. I was so angry. That was what made me angry. And I told myself that that's it. It's over. No more freelancing job. I mean, no more traditional jobs. Because I mean, if you tell
Yeah.
me that traditional jobs they have structure, you are comfortable in it, and it's something that you are secured. I don't know. I got fired twice in 2 years. Where is the security in that? It's just foolishness to keep on getting more jobs that I'll keep on getting fired. So I just said that's the last one. It's done and all of that.
Wow. So was it at this point that you decided to go into ghostwriting fully and leverage on freelance platforms like LinkedIn?
Okay. At this point, yes, I was already writing on LinkedIn, but I didn't like have any clients yet. But just like normal freelancer, we're trying to figure out this shit out. How do we do the client acquisition? Of course, I've taken copywriting courses, right? I took it during my NYC. I saved up for it and took a full copywriting course. Not WhatsApp class, so like normal, a serious copywriting course, right?
Yeah.
So I was already writing at the time. I had side gigs at the time, but that time I remember that there is a particular lady that from our course, right? From our course group, there's a particular lady that I know that they taught us different ways of client acquisition, that you can get your clients through Fiverr, through Upwork. I opened a Fiverr account, opened Upwork account, and all of that stuff. But that particular lady, she was the only one out of everyone that went to on LinkedIn, because our coach at the time said that one thing about LinkedIn is that it's a long game. That if you are someone that is you
Yeah.
want to get job sharp, it won't work. It's not like Upwork that you can just speak today and get a reply, right? LinkedIn is that you have to be
Yeah.
patient. You need to figure it. You go through the confusion.
Yeah.
There's no jumping over it and all of that stuff. I was like, no, I don't want that
Yeah.
kind of one. I want the one that I will land the job now. So I did Fiverr, I did Upwork. I didn't even understand what was happening there. I was like, this Fiverr Upwork is not for me. And Upwork was based on Connect, right? You need to buy Connect and all of that stuff. I was even broke at the time. So I don't even have money to even buy Connect, right? I only had, apart from my salary that was given to me after I got fired, I also had 20,000 naira in my piggy vest account. So to me, that money was like, if I touch this one, you are really, really broke. So I
Yeah.
didn't touch it, but I didn't say I'm already broke. Because if I touch this one, that one is to go and meet my father. I tell him that this independent lady did not work. I'm sorry. Let me come back home, right? So I, did what I had to do and came on LinkedIn. Because of that particular, I remember that girl's story. She was the only one that went on LinkedIn, and then she got a gig of $2,000. Right, so she was sharing that time, but she has been there. She was on LinkedIn for months, right? So
Very well. Yeah.
when you are like really doing the stuff, nobody would like be looking at you, because LinkedIn is a long game, just like my coach had said. So I didn't want to, but at that time I was like, this LinkedIn, I have to go back to it. It's not like this is the only option, because this is the only place I can pitch clients, get clients without Connect. I just need my data and strategies and all of that stuff. So that's how I got
Right.
into it. But I bought a writing course before. So
Okay. So why did you deviate from copywriting to ghostwriting? Because I think that's what you do majorly on LinkedIn now.
okay, so I I also offer like copywriting services, but I niche down. It's very interesting, because I remember when I was
Okay.
talking to you some years back,
Yeah.
right? I was like, oh, I just finished my copywriting course. And as excited as I am that I just finished the course and I want to start, earning. But they said, my coach said that you have to niche down, right? That's what he said, that you have to niche
Right.
down to get clients. So I was like, where will I
Right.
niche down to then? I started praying about it, right? Then only for me to start hearing in my spirit that email marketing. I was like, which one is email marketing again? Email marketing was not part of what the suffer for how many months I've gone through, right? And they taught us 5 different like product
Yeah.
descriptions, landing page, writing, where email marketing appears not to be anything in that course at all. It was not on that course, but he offers it now. But at that time, email copywriting and marketing was not part of what we learned. So I was frustrated. I remember I was talking to you that time, and I was frustrated. I was like, which kind of nonsense problem is this and all of that. So I didn't really want to go into it. But after everything, I bought another course on email marketing. I had to buy another course on email marketing, and that was how. Okay, I had to buy another course on email marketing, and that was how I started with writing emails. right? But I positioned myself as an email ghostwriter because I was following a particular guy on LinkedIn, Nicholas Cole. So he calls himself a
Yeah.
ghostwriter, but he writes emails for people. So I was like, the money this guy is earning, I love his positioning. So I repositioned myself as an email ghostwriter instead of copywriter.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's so. Can you quickly tell us that you had when starting out with freelancing, or basically what were those challenges that you had and how were you able to overcome them, especially with LinkedIn and freelancing generally?
Okay, I won't call it a challenge per se. I'll just call it process that every newbie freelancer you have to go through the period of frustration. And it's not something that freelancing is not something that you've done before, right? So there's a process that you cannot jump through. You have to figure it out. Like Danko used to say, you have to try everything. If they say it's code outreach, you try the code outreach. If they say it's content, though, you try the content. If they say it's direct DM, you don't really know exactly what is going to work, but you just have to keep trying. Then anyone that
Yeah.
works for you, then you fit and upgrade on that particular strategy. But the challenge is that you have to go, you have to sit down every day. You'll be thinking, you send pitch and all of that, and you'll be thinking, are you sure I'm on the right? Are you sure I'm not wasting my destiny with this thing I'm doing? Right. So that's the confusion. I think that was the major challenge. I remember that I was just sitting there and say, Grace, go and get a job because this thing you're doing will not work. But at that time, I was like, if I perish, I perish, like Esther, because I was not going to go back through that trauma and depression I've been going through because of traditional roles. So I think that's the challenge like the major challenge that I faced.
Yeah. Now let's talk about one of the major reasons why we are here, right? And I believe a lot of people would be looking forward to your take on this. Now the question is, what strategies did you use, or better put, how were you able to land your first paying clients on LinkedIn? What did you do to land or close that client?
Okay, so at this time, when I go back on LinkedIn again after I was fired because I took a short break because I was sick at the time, going through depression and all of that, the whole process. So I think I took 2 to 3 months before I got back on LinkedIn again. So I was fired on February, right? So I got back on LinkedIn by June. So by July ending, I already landed my first client, right? With 900, less than 1,000 followers, right? But the whole process was, what I did was, they said, just like I said, you have to follow. I was following. I didn't buy like a client acquisition different course for LinkedIn, right? I just bought challenges course to keep me, consistent. Of course, I went through a good copywriting course. So there was already what to do on LinkedIn, all of that stuff. But these things is never enough. You also need to go into it. There's a difference between watching tutorial and you actually doing the stuff. So when you start doing the stuff, you start noticing that this is not as easy as I thought it's going to be. So I started following LinkedIn influencers. They say post every day. I post every day. Say send code DMs. No, I was not really sending. I was just doing only content, to be sincere. I was just writing on LinkedIn, anything, my story, on copywriting, email marketing to be precise, and all of that stuff. Then I started hearing another one from the LinkedIn gurus, right? If you are on LinkedIn, you know the LinkedIn gurus. So they said you have to commenting, like you comment 8 hours. I say, what is happening here? How many hours do we have in a day? You want to be commenting 8 hours? Shay, you are the one that wants to find clients. I said, okay, I will start commenting. So at the time, I wake up by 5 and make my post. I will comment till around 8, 9. Because I was not working now. That's my office. That's my work. So I wake up early, make my post the previous day, and then start commenting. I'll do that till 9, maybe 10. depending, right? So it was just the true, my first client was through that comment. I made a comment on one of the top creators posts. It's not really like, I won't say he's an influencer, but he's also a writing coach and he has authority too. I think more on X than his name is Tim Denning, more on X than on LinkedIn. But then I made the comments, like my comments are just like the LinkedIn gurus used to say, they were structured and very long. So he made that particular post, I remember it because it was a post on somebody getting fired, how this company will say you are their family and the next day they will fire you and all that. So I made a comment on my story that this is how I was fired.
Yeah.
My last job, you should have been fired twice. That story I wrote on Facebook, I just wrote it down there.
Right.
So people were commenting, people were like giving their own different perspective that yes, that's how these companies do and all that. There was a man that gave a different, he didn't even feel sorry for me or empathize with me. He just said something totally different, right, under the post. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was not trying to agree with what even the guy that posted he was not trying to agree with him or agree with me, right? I think his comment was contrary to what the post was about, but it was under my comments. So I was like, oh, because at the time, there's this guy, Jasmine Alec, yes, everybody know that one. He's a popular influencer on LinkedIn, Jasmine. So he said that one of the things that we need to do is to, like, when people comment under your comment or comment under your post, you reach out to them, that they are prospective clients and all of that. I was like, okay, now. So I was just doing it. I didn't have like a particular strategy. It's just I will pray in the morning, Holy Ghost, come and do what only you can do, right? Because I can't really come and be doing 9 hours of commenting, 8 hours of comment. I don't know how those guys do these
Right.
things, right? So what I just did was that I'll pray in the morning and said, Holy Spirit, any maybe I go to your page and your face is looking like I will just shall send you like a direct DM, right? So that guy, I don't know how the spirit led that morning, though, but I just sent him a direct. Oh, thank you for commenting on my comment on this particular post and all of that. He didn't reply me. I sent him a connection request too. He didn't reply me and he didn't accept my connection request too. It was 2 weeks later that he just sent me, oh, I went on Chat GPT and tried to write a code email for so and so thing that I want to do, and I just did rubbish. Can you help me restructure the email and all of that stuff? I was like, what are you? That's why we are here, right? So I just said that, oh, that's good. I can do that and all of that. And I later wrote a website copy for that same particular client. And the funny thing was that I used the same AI that he could not use was the same AI I used to write the both copy. So that's how I got my first premium client on LinkedIn.
Now, that's beautiful. Now, did you say probably the guy maybe that 2 weeks that he did must have maybe gone through your profile or something, checked you out? Because I mean, for him to just come and say, "Oh, I wrote a cold email and I need you to help me out," he must have studied you, right?
Okay, yes, I asked him, right? Because one of the things that these gurus also say is that once you get someone that you start talking with, you want to know why and how they found you, right? Was it a comment? Was it something or something like that? So I asked, said yes, that he went through my profile. Of course, my profile is well optimized. It's written boldly that I didn't do fancy word, experts, avatar, and all of those stuff. I just did plain English email. I just changed it now to email ghostwriter, but then it was email copywriter and marketer for coaches and course creator. Right. So that was what I did. So I've been posting about email marketing. I post about my stories and all of that. So he said he's been following it. Of course, he didn't like the post, he didn't comment, but he checked me out and he was already certain that I can do. But what happened was that I told him that the email that particular word he wrote, that he should like give it to me, then I'll refine it. So I already refined it before we even started any project. I used AI and I corrected the errors, right? Because it's all about right prompting. Yes, but it was still AI I used in writing the website copy and the email copy.
You do this particular project for free, or did the client reach out to, oh, thank you so much for doing this. How much do you want to charge me or stuff like that? Like, how did the pricing go at that instant?
Oh, okay, the pricing was that me, I was, I have a lot of family problem, right? So when it comes to pricing, I used to look at the kind of family I'm coming from and the kind of life I want to live. So I was not taking the advice or start small advice. Start small
Mhm.
advice as per charging was not the advice for me, right? So that was the main reason why I
Yeah,
was following Nicholas Cole, because he's someone that doesn't, it's not about whether it's 20 words, I'll be 10 words, I'll be 5 words. So far that you are asking someone for a particular service or you want them to do a particular, write a particular thing for you, then the value is not about how good the person is, or just state your price based on what you want to do. So that's just what I did. I blotted out. I didn't have like a pricing guide at the time. Just like I said, everybody was, or me rather, I
yeah,
was figuring the whole shit out. So I just blotted amount
it's
that
out.
I felt that is even ridiculous, right? At the time. But like, oh, okay, it's fine. And all of that. So yeah, that's it.
And just like that, just to show us that sometimes themselves, when it comes to the freelancing world, we don't know how to price, we undermine ourselves, and
Okay.
it affects us. You probably calling out $200 for him, he would see it as something not too expensive at his end. But as somebody figuring it out, you don't want to mention $200 because you think like, am I really worth it? So
Yeah.
this is my next question. How have you been able to figure out the pricing? Like this same price you give it to this guy, is it the same prices you give it to other clients you work with, or have you been able to like find a balance when it comes to
Step
pricing?
up the
Do you
price.
have like, okay, I'm gonna work with it? Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Right now, like I said, I have concluded that for now, I don't know about the next 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, but for now, I really want to do email ghostwriting because I've seen the potential, right? And it's something that I
Mhm.
really love doing because it has to do with telling stories and all of that. It's the easiest form of copywriting, to be sincere, right? So
Yeah,
I know that this is what I want to do, and I know my target audience, right? I know
right.
that people I'm going to work with, they're not people that are trying to pay me $50 or $100, right? I already know that these people already they have established businesses, foreign clients, because Nigerian clients don't
Of course.
understand email marketing, the value of email
Yeah,
marketing. So I already know that I want to work with coaches, but these people are just starting out. So they don't really need many people on their team. They just need few
right.
persons. This, then I started pitching myself as someone that don't just write copies. I can set up the copy. I can set up the campaigns for you. I
Mhm,
can automate it. I can do your SMS marketing.
mhm,
I just
mhm.
look for everything that was under email marketing that anybody can think of, segmentation, whatever I want to do, I can do it. Auditing, I can do it for you
Mm, mm.
as a one man. So with that, I can be able to increase my rate. You understand? So with that, I can be able to do job that you have 3 or 4 people do for you. I say, oh, you don't need 3 or 4 people. I can do. That was how I was able to increase my rates. And right now, I have a price list, but I didn't have while I was starting.
I understand. Now, how were you able to um like, I think this was one of the clients you're currently working with, currently. How were you able to how will I put this now? How were you able to get the clients to work with you on a retainer level? Yesterday, I posted something on my story. I said, closing clients isn't the real win. Retaining that client for 12 months or stretching it for a couple of months is actually the win. So how were you able to get this guy to work with you, not just on a one-off project, but on a retainer level? What strategies did you put in place to get him to work with you on a retainer level?
Okay, so because of the kind of uh, my particular niche, just like I said, it's something that if you play your game very well, there's no how you're not going to get within our clients, because the the service demands retainership, right? Because for example,
Mhm.
if I how we started with that client, just like you said, I know that you know how I started because I told you about it. So how I started with that client was I just wanted to create an EEC for her, which is educational email course. I went to her, how I pitched her, right? I went to her, I noticed that she didn't have a lead magnet. She was just doing
Okay.
view my newsletter. Like, oh, this isn't good though. You need a lead magnet for you to attract, because nobody's going to do you just view my newsletter, you go and give them, they need something in order for them to put their email address. So she was like, oh, as I sent her, and because I already sent her a connection, right? And
Yeah.
strategy, I was commenting under her post. So it was a particular day that I've commented under her post. Then I went to her DM and said, oh, so and so on your post, I love it, all of that strategy, right? And I was like, oh, and I noticed that
Mhm.
I just tried to subscribe on your newsletter and I noticed something strange. I didn't get a welcome email. So I don't even know if I'm already in the list or I'm not on the list. And I
Yeah.
also noticed that
Yeah.
there's nothing like a lead magnet also.
Mm.
I don't know, is there a problem with your back end or something like that? She was like, no, that she has been telling her VA, she has a VA, that she was telling her VA to create one for her, but they've not really gotten to creating it. I was like, oh, perfect. I can do it for you. I can create the lead magnets for you. And she was like, oh, that she doesn't want someone to do a free job for her and all of that. I said, no, don't, there's no issue. Don't worry, I'm doing this for my church mind. All right. But it was just a strategy. Right. So I was like, oh, I can do it. And she was like, oh,
Of
fine.
course.
And while she was still trying to think about it, me, I've gone to do, as a sharp girl, I've gone to do my work. I already created outline of what
Mhm.
the course is going to look like. And that was for the lead magnet, right? And all of that. So I sent the document over to her, Google Doc, just Google Doc, then I sent it to her.
Yeah.
Then we got on a call because when she saw the document, she was impressed, right? I just
Mhm.
told her exactly what I'm going to do or what I think she should do, even if she's not
Mhm.
really keen on. I just told her that your VA can use the document and do XYZ, and she was like, she was very impressed with it. And then she said that probably we should hop on a call to discuss about it further. And then I was hopping on the call thinking that I would do a free project because I was already ready to do it. Because just like I said, there's
Yeah.
every tendency for a retainership gig when it's email marketing, right? Because you
Yeah.
might use this free service to get in, but you yourself, you already know what you're looking for, right? You know that there are a lot of things that you
Mhm.
could offer this particular, but you just have to get in first. So I already knew this. So I was ready to do it free for her. So when we got on the call and she was asking me, okay, so what did you even say again that time? I was like, okay, I opened the documents, I shared my screen and told her, this is what I would do, this is what I would do, this is what I think you should, not I would do, because she has never agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what I think, this is what I think. Yes. So I said, this is what I think you should do, and all of that. She was like, this is very impressive. So she was like, okay, that she would want me to do it for her. I was like, then this is how that's for. I was like, okay. She was like, I know that it's not going to. She didn't mention anything about free on the call,
Yeah.
right? She was like, okay, so how much are you going to charge and how much are you going to charge for the entire project and all that? I just stated my fee at the time, and which I knew that I undercharged myself because when I said it, she was like, you mean the all of it? But that time I've said what I've said, right? I know she heard it clearly, so I can't really say, oh, it's for one, all of that. So I knew I charged what I thought was premium, but of course,
How much
it
did you
was
charge him?
not okay at the time. I charged $600,
Hmm,
right?
okay.
Yeah. So then, there was like, okay, so as we're rounding up the call, she said something again that she was trying to reach out to. After the call, she has to to go meet a copywriter in one coffee shop like that. That she wants them to write a
Okay.
website copy for her. I say, website copy. I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you.
Yeah, all
Oh,
around.
I didn't. I went to website. She was like, "Oh, really? That's I didn't tell her about that now." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's I also write website copy." She's like, "Oh, fine. So how much will you write out?" I told her that was how we round up the deal. And when I finished that, of course, I was already strategizing on a retainer deal. So I put
Of
my
course.
body, soul, spirit, giving out free
Of course.
strategies and all. When you already know where you're going, you have to start calculating from the
True,
end,
true.
right? Then yes. So you don't
Yeah.
even really need to even charge much. You just need to know that okay, this is a deal that can lead to retainership, right? Because she already have someone
Yeah.
that was doing the back end of MailChimp for her. I said she had a VA, right?
Mhm.
But right now she doesn't have a VA anymore
Yeah.
because she told me that Grace, if
Yeah.
you can do all these things for me, I don't think I need my VA anymore. So she doesn't have a VA again. I'm the one that's doing all the back end, front end, middle end, everything, right?
You didn't-
So that's how we got. Yes, so that's how we got on the retainership with that particular client.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. We are actually wrapping this up now. So I just have one or two
Okay.
questions to go. It has really been so will you say that this client is one of your highest paying clients to date?
Okay, highest paying client based on retainership. Yes, I would say she's the highest paying client based on retainership. Because one thing about retainership is one of deal is something that I will just do sharp, sharp, right? But a retainership is something like you can predict your income, right? So I can charge higher than I charge more than for a retainership because I know that this is something that when I get used to it, it won't take me like much time to do. So while I
Of
have a
course, of
retainership,
course.
maybe I want to have two retainerships, then I can start doing one-off gigs for other people.
Okay, okay, okay. Just out of curiosity, you were talking about I think when I was having a chat with you on WhatsApp, you were talking about some like $600 clients whom you are working for,
Okay,
right?
okay,
Um,
okay.
I think this is the same person you're referring to, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
The same
yeah,
person.
of course, of course. And $600 every month, bringing it to Naira, that's some good money. So, with that in mind, what will be your advice to freelancers struggling on LinkedIn? I mean, I get a lot of DMs, a lot of messages almost on the daily of freelancers doing this and that, and like you said, LinkedIn is a long game. So what will be your advice to freelancers starting out and want to leverage LinkedIn to make it big in the freelancing business?
Okay, so for LinkedIn, if you want to leverage LinkedIn, first of all, like I said, you must have gotten a skill, right? Because you're
Yeah,
rendering a service, right? So you must have
of
a
course.
skill. If you don't have a skill, just go and find. And when I'm very particular about, don't go and do WhatsApp class because your frustration will be very long. As far that you start saying, "Oh, I'm sending my coach message, my coach is not replying me," and all of that stuff. They will do the class and they will move on to the next course, and you'll be left hanging, right? But once you get a good course, when you are confused, you're frustrated, don't know what to do, you can always go back to your coach and they would reply you, even if it takes time, right? They would reply you and they'll
Yeah,
be able to guide you. And more importantly, for community reasons, because this journey is a long one and there are a lot of phases. So you need a community where somebody will
yeah,
say, "Oh, I just landed a $1,000 gig. This thing they work." Oh, even though you've not
yeah,
landed any client, but you are
yeah,
motivated that okay, this thing is working. Just like I said, that the reason why I opted for LinkedIn and make sure that this LinkedIn, I said to myself that if this thing worked for her. There's a story I didn't tell you. That particular girl that got that $2,000 gig, the way
Yeah.
our course is that mode one, they give you a project, a pet project to do. You do it, they grade you. I was the brightest student. You don't understand. This person, I'm even saying that the person is not, she's not getting the
Mhm.
course. They're getting like,
Yeah.
she's having lower marks than me. She's getting $2,000. Then me that was doing first in class, I was like, if this person can really do this thing, that means it's not by how skilled you are per se, right? So
Yeah.
that was what I did. I was like, if this person can do it, the reason why you need to get into a community as a freelancer is if this person can do it, I can do it. And when you get stuck, when you get confused, you can always go back to ask your coach. I would advise you to leave WhatsApp class alone. Go and get a very good course on a skill that I want to learn and get into the right community. So that's what I would advise. And also know that it's going to take time. Like I said, one of the things that
Mm.
helped me was that for me, I already removed my mind from like because of my um, unique issue. I already knew that
Yeah.
it's not that freelancing is an option because there are people that do freelancing and they do their full-time job, right? I already knew that this is not for me, right? Freelancing has to be something that is my full-time business, right? So that was what I did. I knew that I didn't have an option. So I just focused. My eyes was not thinking of option B. This was the only option I had. So I just focused on it. So
Yeah.
freelancing is something that you cannot do. Let me try whether it will work. It will not work if you
Mhm.
are doing them. You have to just focus and know that this thing, I'm going to try it. If that will work for this person, my case cannot be different because they don't have two heads, right? So that's what
Mm.
I told myself, and that's what I think every
Right.
freelancer should know. Get into the right community as per course and coach, and also know that it's going to take a while. But if you're in the right community with time, you're going to and with time because you'll be getting strategies. And when you start actively looking for clients, when you fail, you go back, say, oh, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? You start searching for more, how can I get clients and all of that stuff. There. With time, you're going to get your
Mm.
first gig.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Those the stories and ideas are very rich. I have two more questions before we wrap it up on this segment. The
You have been
the second
having
to last
small.
question is this.
Okay.
Right. The last question is this. How did you deal with self period of dry spells? Like for freelancers, it's not. I mean, before you land that major gig, there are some days where you'll be living off your savings, or days where Sapa will teach you lessons. So, how were you able to deal with that? Periods when nothing was coming in, like survive, and especially after you had quit your job and stuff like that.
Okay, just like I said, I already had my last savings was 20,000 on PiggyVest, which was money that before you get to PiggyVest, you already know that it is like you are already red, right? Because PiggyVest is not it's not money that is supposed to touch. So if you not touch it, just know
Yeah.
that it is really finished, right? So I already knew that this is not a funny matter. So I was putting more time, just like I said. That was I was doing all the commenting, the outreach, and all of that. I was putting more time. But what you would do during that period is that you would have to just know. For me, I didn't have an option, but for someone that have a job or you're waiting during that dry period, I think what you should do is to just keep doing what you're doing, right? You have to
Of
keep
course.
doing what you're doing as far. It's not because you're not getting clients, you stop posting. If posting is part of your strategy,
Mhm.
you stop reaching out to clients. If
Mhm.
that is part of your strategy, because you have to look for what works for you. So when you look for what works for you, at that period where there are dry seasons, you also need to keep reaching out to clients. And you also need to strive that whatever you're doing, you just look for a strategy or a way for you to land retainer gigs. So when you have a retainer
Mhm.
gigs, as when you have a retainer gigs, you know how you plan yourself. You are saving a lot of money, right? And you already know how you're going to upskill. For example, now this here. I'm planning on taking that Nicholas Cole course. And if you go and look at how much that guy is charging for his course, if you know how much that guy is charging for his course, it's not play. $6,800. The last I checked. I don't know whether it will increase. Or I don't know whether it will increase this year, but 6,000, that's $7,000 roughly, right? So when you get these skills, you use that period to make sure that you strategize on how to get retainer gigs, then you save up to upskill. You just want to be too valuable that you are out of job. At least you would have a retainer gig. Then you will know how to save your money so that you don't, during that period, you already know that, oh, this period is certainly going to come, it might come. So you are like Joseph, you are already wise, you've saved a lot of money. On the side, you are still doing what you're doing, you're trying to upskill, you're making yourself too valuable that anybody that wants to say, they already know what you have done to their business. There was something I wrote sometime on LinkedIn. I said, one thing that you want to do is that you want to make yourself as oxygen to a business owner. That's the person just know that they can't breathe without you. They know that their business, you are so much invested in that business. And that's what my clients always tells me, that she has never seen someone that is so invested in their business, like, because I'm not trying to chase 10 people because of the kind of the peculiarity of my health and all of that. I just want to like go with not more than 2 people. So all my mind is that I'm going to be so invested in this business that you don't have option than to just put me on a retainer and keep putting me, renewing that contract of that retainer gig. So that's just it. You have to know that it might come, but upskill, save, and do what you have to do.
Wow. Thank you so much, Grace, for this enlightening session. Before you go, people will be watching this video and then they want to connect with Grace, especially on LinkedIn, because you know that you have a good brand there. So how do we connect with you? Stuff like that. If you can share with us.
Okay, so for just to make it very clear, everybody's on a journey, and I don't also have it all figured out. So don't be listening and say, oh, this one is inflate. Sorry, everybody is, when it comes to business, right? Everybody is figuring it's just that when you find what works for you, then you will stay on that strategy and look for ways to scale that strategy to keep on getting the same results, right? But you are going to go through the process, right? So when you are searching for me on LinkedIn, don't think that I'm one LinkedIn guru or something like that. On LinkedIn, me, I'm still figuring out, oh, what's the right content that is going to attract? Oh, what's the right comment? Oh, what? So everybody's still trying to figure it out. But you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Grace Inaimeka. Then Facebook, Grace Inaimeka. But I'm more very active on LinkedIn than any other platform.
I know we've probably used more than the time allocated for us, but I want to appreciate you so much for coming about to share your story. Thank you so much for coming about to share your story, and we really wish you.
Thank you for having me.
Endeavors, the best, more clients, more gigs, more retainers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And stay blessed. All right.
Yeah, I knew we were going to say stay blessed.